Hello, and thanks for joining the session. Today we're going to continue working on adding functionality around OAuth to Astrocasts. We've already worked with Twitch. We're at the point now where we have YouTube successfully updating the live stream title. Let's go ahead and take a look at what YouTube looks like right now. My guess is that it's going to have some bogus name. Bootstrapping Astrocast session 4. Yeah, so this is the old name. This is what we actually updated yesterday, or on the previous session. But what I've done now is updated session 7 locally. So this is actually the current session that we have on the live site. This is the correct title and everything. Oh, it's Bootstrapping Astrocast. I'm going to hop into the admin screen real quick just to make sure that it's on the correct project. Because the end goal here is that I'd like to, by the end of this session, to publish the actual correct name of the current episode. And since we're doing this from the dev site, we essentially have to do it from here by making sure that everything is set up correctly. So I'm going to go to this episode, or this session rather, and update it to use the project, adding OAuth to Astrocasts. So the backend of Astrocasts is currently using EasyAdmin. It really does the job, but it's really not very pretty. So there's a lot of work that I could probably be doing to make this stuff work better. Okay, so what we're going to do now is double check here. Awesome, adding OAuth to Astrocasts. So we're going to use the command line tool that we worked with last session. And what we're going to do is see that it's going to fail. The reason it's going to fail is because the access token we got yesterday should be expired. We're going to look at, whoa, good old caps lock. All right, let's do app, YouTube, publish metadata. All right, and so this is actually passing this off to a queue, so we need to start up our queue listener. All right, so let's see what we got here. Okay, so we got an error. Message invalid credentials. So that makes sense. So our queue listener just dropped out right away because the access code or the access token we were sending is actually not valid anymore. So that makes sense. We ran into the same sort of situation with our Twitch API. So we're going to take a look at the Twitch API real quick to see how we solved this. So we have app Twitch API here. So we have try with refresh. So when we updated channel title previously, we did try with refresh and then did the stuff that we needed to do in order to update the channel. So we're going to try and do something very similar to that, except we're going to do this for YouTube. So the try with refresh gets most of the work done and then actually does the work to update the token. The very first time it will do this with thing to do. And then if it doesn't get an invalid response, or if it does get an invalid response, it does the refresh loop and then updates the refresh token, and then it tries to do the thing again with the new app OAuth credentials values. So we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do this for YouTube. So let's double check to make sure what our current YouTube thing looks like. So we do have update live broadcast title. So this work is probably going to be mostly what we're going to have in the do while refresh. So let's see here. The bits that will, let's use the same method name. So we got try with refresh. And I'll just copy the beginning bits here. All right. This probably shouldn't be a public function. I'm going to switch that here as well. There's no real need for anyone to call this outside. And if we find that, then we can switch it. Okay, so the callable that we'll pass in is going to be the stuff that's unique for update live broadcast title. So the bits that aren't unique are this part. So what we're going to do, let's see here. So we're going to build Twitch API. We're actually going to build YouTube API. We're going to ask our OAuth credentials to find for YouTube. And then thing to do, we're going to pass in our YouTube API and our OAuth credentials. So let's see. So at the very least, we're going to do return this try with refresh. So the thing to do is going to be where we do our actual work. The things that are being passed in are YouTube API and app OAuth credentials. And then we are also going to need our title and description. So we're going to take that in to pass it into our callable here. So I'm going to reformat this a tiny bit. The idea is we don't want to have to do this same dance for everything that we want to do where there might need to be a refresh token involved. So inside here, we now still have access to everything we had before. We have title and description because we're using them, and then we're getting the app OAuth credentials and the YouTube API. So anything around getting these values set or set up correctly now live inside try with refresh. That's kind of our long-term goal with this little bit of refactoring. All right, so we are going to, we already have the YouTube API. We have the YouTube OAuth credentials. So we're already getting those here, so fine for YouTube. So I'm going to get rid of these. Now for this particular instance of the YouTube API, we need to get the access token and set it on this client. So this will, in our case, use the current access token, which has expired. But we need to set that on here in order to be able to do these functions. So let's see here. Now this part, we're just going to copy into here. So this is where we're actually doing the work. So we're going to ask the YouTube API. Not found in YouTube API. Let's see. I think maybe this build returns a Google service YouTube. Yeah, okay. So we're not getting our YouTube API, we're getting Google YouTube service. So it's called, it's one of those naming issues that I probably should have named this slightly differently. But this is the actual YouTube API client that we're getting from Google. So it's debatable whether we should rename this or not. I'm voting for not right now anyway. Okay, so live broadcasts, we're getting those. Then we are going to do something if we don't have any live broadcasts, then we're not going to do anything. So except do some logging. Otherwise, we need to get the first item. So we're going to get the first item in the live broadcast, which we know exists because we have at least one in this case. So live broadcast, we're going to create a brand new snippet. So the snippet is the information that is storing the metadata. We're going to set the title on that snippet. And then we are going to set the snippet on the live broadcast that we have. And then we are going to do some work here to actually update this data on the Google API. I think that I'm not sure I want to do this try catch anymore because I think we're going to be doing that elsewhere. So we're going to be doing that up above. So the idea here is that we're now going to use the YouTube API to update this live broadcast snippet information with the snippet information we added on this live broadcast instance. So that's what we did here. So now what we need to do is figure out what we're actually going to get from this. So we're going to return this. And now we can handle it. So at this point, this was just essentially handling the happy path. So let's say return RV is going to be what happens if things are good. But what we know is actually the case is we get an exception. So let's see, we have message code. Okay, so we do have a code that we can use. Exception. So we could look for code 401. So we can say if, so we can actually trap it. So I'm going to do that instead. So we're going to return this value and do a try. So we can try thing to do with the YouTube API and the OAuth credentials, and then we're going to catch Google service exception. And then we can do something specifically on that. So if get code equals to 401, then we need to retry or refresh. Refresh token and try thing again. Let's see here. So that's giving me an error because there's a no op, which is fine. The other thing we can do here is probably log this information. So that's something that we were doing earlier. We can do this logger error, because we don't actually want to exit, because we don't want to kill the this message consumer. So if this error happens and it's not something we expect, we definitely want to log it, but we don't want it to kill the consumer. Otherwise, it's going to requeue this message and it'll just continually loop. So we're going to error message unexpected exception. Unexpected exception while doing a thing. And then we're going to use the exception key for the context and pass in the exception as the value. So this will make sure to log this for us. And then I'm just going to return, missing return argument. There. I don't think we need to actually return this value in this case, so we don't need it. We can change that later if we need to. All right, so we're handling the case where we get a 401. We're handling a case where we get some other response from Google specifically, and then otherwise we can do catch exception and log this unexpected exception. So we'll do Google service exception, unexpected exception. Just so that there's a difference between these two, because we might want to be able to log why one might happen versus another. What's this complaining about? Missing return statement. Let's do this. Let's do return void. All right, well, PHP Storm is complaining about this. Oh, maybe it's because of this. I don't like adding extra code just to satisfy the IDE usually, but I think this is totally fine. So I'm going to run the code again and see that it still essentially is going to do the same thing, except we might not have the consumer die. It's going to give us an error message saying what happened, and that should hopefully be it. Okay, cool. So here we do finish handling message. Here we can see, it actually didn't give us an error. Started handling. Okay, so it didn't. Am I doing enough V's? Let's see here. I wonder, thing to do. So is this a return value? No. So the return value should be that if there's an I thought it threw an exception. So try this. So I have to send this message again. Brand new one through. Okay, so what do we have here? Huh. Okay. So see if we're even getting into this bit of the code. All right, so we are, which is good. Let's do a little more trace statements in here. No exception. Oh, I see what happened. So we're hitting this case, and in that case we aren't doing anything. So we need to do this here. So we'll do logger, and we'll do notice. All right, let's see now. So I can get rid of this. And what we should expect to see now is this log message. Okay, looks like our OAuth access token may have expired. Try and refresh. Great. So we have that. So now we can actually do the work in here. So the thing that we have access to is this OAuth access credentials and the YouTube API. So YouTube API, get client, refresh, get refresh token. No, refresh token here. And we'll do what's this return? Returns an array, new credentials, and we need to get this from our OAuth credentials. So that has a refresh token. And the result of these new credentials should be more or less what we had before. So where was that? Here. No. Okay. So we need to update our OAuth object. So app OAuth credentials, set access token, new credentials. I think that was in the YouTube controller. There we go. Let's do that. So this gets us our new access credentials. And then we need to make sure to flush the object manager, which means we need to get an object manager. So we don't have anything here. All right, so just doing this would be great. This would update our token and everything would be good to go. The problem is we still need to do stuff. So we need to try to do this thing again. So we're going to do thing to do. But we also need to make sure that we've set our new access token on our object before we do that. Okay, so this would get the client from the existing YouTube API, override to use the new access token that we've just received and just saved. And then hopefully things will be good to go. Let me look at, let's make sure I have my tags set up correctly. I keep forgetting to do that. So we'll do software development, web development. All right, so let's see if I run it now. Let's open up our code here. All right, so let's refresh this. So essentially we should be seeing a new refresh token and a new access token show up. All right. So we got an exception, which is good, I guess. All right, invalid credentials. Okay, it looks like our OAuth access token may have expired. Trying to refresh. See if these updated. So YA29 and 13Z. No. Okay, so that didn't work. So we tried to get the refresh token using our refresh token. So let's see what values we get from here. Huh. See if it's working now. No. So finish handling, started handling, finished handling. That's strange. Okay, so we're getting this far. Thing to do. Getting this far. Interesting. So this isn't failing anymore. Why is that not failing anymore? So update live broadcast title. Unhandled exception. so it's actually getting that information now. Huh. So for some reason, this isn't failing anymore. And I don't know why that is. Because it had been for a while. Let's see, update. This method's update. Methods name. Okay. Here. So so it's not actually doing the work that it's supposed to be doing. And it's no longer giving me an exception, which I don't understand. Turn live broadcast update. So let's see. Snippet. Get title. Some other return here. Almost seems like something else here is returning on a live YouTube broadcast. All right, so it's getting this what, which means that this is all working. which means this is not being thrown. It's not actually updating here, right? No. Pretty sure it's not. Unless it's unless it's choosing a different title than I was expecting it to for some reason. Which would make me feel pretty silly. Huh. That is what it set it to. Getting the first. Let's check Twitch. All right, so it looks like it's working. This logic here appears to be wrong. Find current or upcoming sessions. Try last. Okay, I originally had last before. It's still giving me the same value. December 11th at 4 p.m. Why is this here now? Okay. Somehow this got a broadcast date set. That's what the problem is. So we'll leave broadcast date empty. I don't know how that happened. Switches back to first. All right, so that's right. And we're going to do the same thing now for Twitch. And that should be the same as well. Okay, so that's right. And YouTube is now right. Okay, cool. So I don't understand, though. I don't know why it looked like these weren't changing, but they still are not changing. Huh. I wonder. App OAuth credentials. Why am I not using that? Because I don't need to. So let's not pass that, at least for now. I'll try with refresh. Okay. Let's make sure this is finding for YouTube. It is. So I guess at this point, we have the new token. So I guess we can check this out on the next session on Thursday to make sure that these values are good. This does say it expires not now, but later. So I guess this probably is a refresh token because it does expire later today. Cool. Well, I guess I'll take that as a win. Let me just do one more check here. Let's look at YouTube API. Thing to do. All right, I think that's all good. Let's see if there's anything we need to change in here. We don't need to do this anymore. Because apparently it will throw an exception if there's an error. And the reason it's not anymore is because we've refreshed the token. And I guess we just missed which one of the requests actually did that. So let's double check one last time. Publish YouTube metadata. Cool, so we just get this deprecated error, which I actually did some research on that today, and that's just going to keep happening probably until the end of the year, which is kind of a bummer. Okay, so what we have now is Twitch and YouTube both updating correctly after we've connected everything, connected the app level OAuth tokens. So the thing that I want to do now is look a little bit more at our original messages that we were actually dealing with. The methods that we have for showing that a stream is online, which is what we do for this little thing up here, the on air. This is triggered based on Twitch. So the original way that this was going to work is that Twitch has a webhook that they push. So I'm going to pull that up real quick. So Twitch controller, when the subscription comes in, there is a get method and then a post method. Post method is when we actually get a message to say that the stream is either up or down. And then we send the Twitch stream changed method. So this is the method that sort of starts it all. The way that we manually test that is that we have a couple of console commands. We have stream push online, which dispatches Twitch stream changed with the fake is online payload. So there's just anything there, essentially. The other one is an empty array. So that's the way that Twitch says streams are either online or offline. If they're online, they have data inside the payload. If that stream has gone offline, then it just sends an empty array. So the push stream online sort of fakes Twitch giving us an information saying that the stream is on, and then stream push offline sends the Twitch stream change fake is offline. So it essentially sends these events so we can pretend to be Twitch. So we can actually watch that happen here. So I'm going to do bin console, keep running the message consumer, app stream push online. And what we're going to see is that now the test site looks like it's online. So this stuff was really nice because it just did stuff with events. It actually connected to Pusher and told Pusher to say anybody who's watching the site, it's now online, which is great. The problem is that then when we would refresh the page, there was no state. keeping track of this. So what I ended up doing is creating another entity, or another concept of an entity called a stream. And so I added this stream manager. It doesn't actually have a proper entity, it just writes a stream URL into the Redis cache. So this is a cache value that is persistent, it doesn't expire. When you bring the string, or when you bring the live session online, it sets the stream to whatever the guest stream URL is. If you bring the session offline, then it sets null for the stream URL. And what this code does on the template is, if it has a value, treat it as if it's on air for the stream, and then you can actually click on it to see that specific stream that's online. Otherwise, it shows the offline version. Let's see here. So this is actually doing things in reverse as well. Find current upcoming sessions. Let's see here, because this should be trying to take us to something different. So let's do push offline. And so that takes us off air. If I reload, we're still off air. And if we push online, we're now on air. And reload, we're on air. And if I click here, I'm going to have to look at this some other time, this particular part. So it seems like we're doing things possibly in the reverse order of what we sort of expected. Okay, so what we really want to do now is build some events based on this. The stream, or the live stream being online or offline. Right now, everything else is based around Twitch. So if we look at the Twitch message handlers, or if we look at the message handlers, we have things that happen based on Twitch stream changed. So we talk to Pusher when this Twitch stream changed. We talk to the stream itself. We tell, this is where we actually say bring stream offline, or bring stream online. So this is actually probably not going to change, but everything else is going to be should be looking at stream brought online and stream brought offline events, rather than the Twitch ones. Publish Twitch metadata. So this is another one. This should actually be looking at when the stream comes online. And similarly, we're going to want to do something like publish YouTube metadata when stream goes online. So that's what we're going to look at real quick. Looks like we have about 15 minutes to sort of change how we're doing some event-related stuff. So we're going to look first at the events. So we have Twitch event, Twitch stream changed. What I'm going to do is add a new subdirectory called stream, and we'll do stream brought online, and stream brought offline. I just want to see if I'm actually using that event interface. I think it's just a marker interface, so I'll go ahead and keep using that. So we have stream brought online and stream brought offline. Let's not do brought. That seems to, the naming on that is maybe not what I expect. So let's do stream went offline. It's more, I want it to be more thought of as something happened, as opposed to someone specifically did something. If I bring something in my head, it's maybe not the right connotation I want. So we'll do stream went online. All right. So the way that we're going to use this then is that we wanted to do this when the interact with stream when Twitch stream changed. So we want to go into these commands. Actually, no, we don't want to go into those commands. We want to go to where's the stream object? Here we go, stream manager. We want to do this here. So we have cache, calendar event, session repository, and URL generator. We're also going to want to get our event bus. I don't remember event bus. Yeah, we do have one. One of the projects we didn't actually have an event bus. Okay, so we'll do event bus. Now we can dispatch events easily. So after we've set the stream URL, we can do this dispatch new stream went online, and stream went offline. So now everything else that we do should no longer, Twitch should no longer come into play anymore. Twitch, the fact that that's the first webhook that I was using to start the fact that the stream was online or not is just an implementation detail. I don't like the fact that everything is interacting with stuff based on when Twitch changes. So we're going to go to the message handler, and we're going to start doing some events. So what we did for the command directories, we have some subdirectories. I'm going to start doing that here as well, I think. Let's do a new directory called pusher. And we're going to move this class there. So we're going to do interact with pusher when stream went online. Okay, we're going to rename the class, and we're actually going to move it as well. So we'll do refactor move to pusher. All right, so now what we can do is say Twitch stream changed. This is where we want to switch this to. Ooh, this is actually going to require creating two classes now, because before we had one Twitch stream changed that we used that to determine whether we were going to do one versus the other. But here we're specifically saying pusher when stream went online. So we're going to change this class to stream went online, and we need to dispatch push stream is online. So that means we need to create another class to do the other part of this, which is when it goes offline. So let's do interact with pusher when stream went offline. Copy these values. All right, then we want stream went offline here. Push stream is offline. All right, so now instead of having something at the top level here dealing with when the Twitch stream changes, this is helping us to keep everything more geared around the stream concept. So let's see if we can still see the same behavior now that we've done these changes. So I should be able to push stream online, and I should be able to, well, I'll have to push it offline first. All right, so it did do what it was supposed to do with pusher. Pusher marked it as offline. Let's do online again and make sure that that works. Okay, so it did push it online. If we walk through here, we can see that this was the message that was sent from the command itself, from the command line tool. So it sent the Twitch stream changed event. We can see that this was our fake status was starting up. So this was the Twitch stream change event. That caused us to bring stream online. And then that was finished. That generated the Twitch publish metadata happened because of Twitch. Twitch stream changed. Bring stream online. So here's the bring stream online event. It started handling. Stream went online. All right, so we got those things there. All right, so push stream is online. Okay. So that looks like that's working. So what we need to do now is change this one to be based on the stream event instead. So let's go ahead and do Twitch. Publish Twitch metadata. We're going to rename this to when stream went online. And then we're going to move it to Twitch and change this. I think that's the only thing we need to change. Now let's see if this still works. All right. Now we'll bring it back online. All right, so let's see what we get here. We'll get this annoying debug thing. Okay, so first we get Twitch stream changed, results in bring stream online. Finish handling that. We see Twitch stream changed. Why do we see that one again? So this is actually the finishing of that. So here's the start, here's the finish, and here's what it did in between. The next thing that we see is started handling message bring stream online. That resulted in this junk. And then we see started handling stream went online, finish handling stream went online, bring stream online. So this was actually, let's see, what brought that on? Here's the pusher stuff. Still not used to looking at the Symfony Messenger components debug output. I'm not sure I'm reading it correctly. So let's see, pushed stream is online. Publish metadata happens at the end, but I don't really get a sense of the order that these things are happening in is what I would have expected. Okay, so let's add this same functionality, but for YouTube. So let's do directory, YouTube, and publish YouTube metadata when stream went online. Handler. And let's see here. So we want the command bus. to handle invoke. Went online. Dispatch, and then new publish metadata, but we want the YouTube version. All right, so here we see the Twitch publish metadata in and out, and then we see the YouTube metadata being pushed in and out. So anytime the Twitch project comes online, what we're going to see is, or the webhook comes online, we're going to see both YouTube and Twitch have their stream title updated with the information from the current project. So I think that's good. I might have to work through some of these other things to see if I could visualize this better, because I still don't understand everything that's going on in here. It seems like some of these messages are happening multiple times. Publish metadata, for example, is happening here. And I see it again here. I think this is the thing where the messenger component, if you have a consumer or consumed message also queue other messages, then things get a little awkward, because this output that it's showing is actually in some cases, it's the adding to the queue message. So, for example, this publish metadata for YouTube, this happens here. So this command itself, the command bus in this context is handling publish metadata. So it's outputting that. So it's actually outputting that it's publishing the metadata at this point in time. What it's actually doing in handling that is putting it on the queue. And then when this particular message is done being handled, then eventually this specific message gets picked up for down here. And this is when it's actually being handled in this particular case. So sometimes it shows up twice. So the order that messages show up in the queue for Symfony's messenger component can be a little weird sometimes. That might actually be something that would be worthwhile adding on here, is finding a way to show the context of why these things sometimes show up differently than others. Like if there could be a way to say that this is where it's actually being handled via the queue or via the transport versus this is where it's actually being added into the transport or something. I don't know, but it is a little confusing for me looking at this, trying to figure out what's going on. It took me a while to remember that this is what was happening. Okay, so what we have now is end-to-end, the ability to update both Twitch and YouTube metadata based on the current live session as soon as the live session goes on air. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think that's going to be super useful. So the next things that we were going to take a look at in terms of OAuth is probably Facebook. But I might actually take a break on this particular project for a little while. So if you have any suggestions or ideas for things you'd like to see me work on instead of OAuth stuff, let me know. Next week and the following week are probably I think those might be the last two sessions. Let me see what we have for so we have on the schedule. December 20th. Let's see, might be one of the last sessions for the year. So if you have any ideas or suggestions for stuff that you'd like to see me play around with that is something other than what we've been looking at for the last few sessions, definitely let me know. Thanks and have a good night.